All right, guys, so we're back here again with another sparring video. And you guys know the routine by now. I'll go through the video and I will take you guys through my perspective of the role. And then I'll take you through what my opponent could have done a little differently on their end. And hopefully if you guys make sure that you share the video, you like the video, and you subscribe and check the little notification so you'll know every time I have a new video come out. So without further ado, let's get this started. And in this video, you're going to see me rolling with one of my partners, regular training partners, a blue belt, maybe about like around 170 pounds or so. Really good, a little bit of a wrestling background as well. And we start the video here. So again, we're starting from our knees here. I'm pulling him into my closed guard. Playing a little loose, playing a little relaxed here. I like to cross grip always. And I'm going to go here for a hip bump sweep. And I wasn't able to get it there, but that's all right. Sometimes it's just a whole lot of timing to get it done. So let me pause it and go back here a little bit, and I'll show you a little bit of some detail here. So anytime that you're going to do the hip bump sweep, you always want to try to get your opponent to react in the direction that you want them to move. So I want my opponent to move I want him to move going backwards. This way, when I come up to do the bump, he's already moving in that direction. He's already moving towards the back. How I do that is I use my legs. And I use my legs to pull him forward. You can see here I'm pulling him towards me. And then once I feel the resistance, I'm going to then immediately come with the sweep and come up. There you go. I'm able to get him over. If you use this method of action and reaction, you're going to be able to hit a lot of sweeps on much larger opponents that you normally wouldn't get. Of course, the technique has to be right too. You want to make sure that you make good hip contact, that your hip hits into his chest and bumps him over. Hence, it's why it's called a hip bump sweep. You also want to make sure that you hold on to the arm the whole way. This way, they cannot post out with the arm. Now, you'll see here, he tries to post out, and because I've got a good grip right here on his sleeve, he's not able to base out all the way. And that's exactly what I want. I don't want him to base out. I want to continue to hold that sleeve all the way up until I actually mount him. So here I go. I mount him, and I begin to work here. Now, we'll take it back a little bit, and you'll see here, as soon as I mount him, I've got his legs squeezed together with my legs, and I'm basically crunching up his legs, and I'm getting ready to move. Also, my chest is putting pressure on his upper body as well, which then allows me to get off of my legs and knees much easier. They'll be lighter, and I'll be able to move much quicker. Again, I also always talk about being on your toes. That helps a lot too. Immediately here, as I start to make the transition to go to his back, you're going to see where my right hand is going to move right here to his lapel. I want that to be the case because I immediately want to try to grab his lapel around his neck in order to get my hooks in and be right into the choke, to be automatically threatening as soon as I get my hooks in. You'll notice here a small detail as well, how I exchange my hands, how I move one hand grip to another side. So I talk a little bit about in one of my YouTube videos the idea of replacement theory, replacing one of your hands with another hand, or replacing your legs with your hand, and so on and so forth. Whenever you're moving in jiu-jitsu, you want to stay tight and you want to be replacing your limbs as you go along in order to trap your opponent. So here I'm going to replace one hand with the other, and that's immediately going to allow me to get to the neck and start working here. Let's go back to the back take. So right here, I'm immediately trying to beat his hands. He's trying to grab my hands, and I'm trying to break that grip and get a nice grip around his neck here. You're going to see my left hand here is going to try to come into the inside of his arm right here and pin that arm to the chest. Now right here, he's very tight, so I can't quite get it. So I'm just going to focus on keeping this arm pinned down, getting my right hand in, and getting my hooks in. You'll see here my right leg is up. I don't necessarily have to have my foot in to get a hook in. I can have them trapped in between the knees as well. As long as I've got it nicely positioned tight, I'm squeezing with my knees. You don't have to necessarily have your feet in to be able to trap him and get your hooks in. You eventually do want to get the hooks in because it's just going to make the submission a whole lot easier. Now we'll take it back. You'll see I've got knee right here is pinching. The other knee is starting to pinch as well. As soon as I get him right here, as soon as I suck him into me and I'm starting to adjust and control his back, this left leg is going to come up and insert the hook right away in. Boom. So now we've got one hook in. He's already defending the neck right here, and that's okay. He's got two hands on one. I'm starting to get my left hand in to control the other one. He's preoccupied now with fighting my hands. Perfect opportunity for me to get the left hook in here. I adjusted as soon as we rolled to the side. You'll see where I made a little hip adjustment movement right here. Foot's on the ground. I hip escape away in order to be able to get a better angle in which I can place my left hook in. There's the hip escape movement. Still clasping my hands together. Still have seatbelt control. Look at my head positioning right here. I want to have my head positioned right against his head. Ideally, almost as if you're whispering to him in his ear. By doing this, you make it incredibly difficult for the opponent to be able to escape out towards the other side and to move, and you can essentially create almost a vice right here around his neck. Other leg's going to come in. Boom, we got him right here. He's trapped. Now we've got to start to free our hands right here and attack his neck. So you're going to see he let go of the hands that he had gripped in order to try to get the hook out. As soon as he does that, I bring the hand right up around his neck. You're going to see how I adjust my feet here to get a crucifix locks. Now his body's stuck. Now I have him exactly where I want. Now all I have to worry about is hand fighting. I just have to hand fight him and eventually get in position to finish him. Guys are going to see my opponent's playing good defense though. He's got both his hands 2-on-1 trying to fight and trying to prevent it. And I mess up here. I didn't exactly have the best hand fighting sequence needed. I've since changed a part of my game in terms of how I hand fight to make it a whole lot better in terms of being able to finish. So you see here I'm playing around with his hands. I'm not having a good time here. I'm trying to really get his neck, and he's doing well to defend it. So here we're going to move. I now come on top, still maintaining the back position. He's doing a good job of fighting. Here I decide, you know what? Let me try to trap one of his arms underneath my leg. This way I only have to fight one arm instead of both. So what you'll see here is I'm trying to basically put one of his arms underneath my leg in order to be able to trap it. He'll fight that every now and then. I'll readjust to his collar. But he does a good job. He's squirming away. He's moving his hips. He's doing everything he can to get his back to the mat. And those are the things that you should be doing whenever you're stuck in the back control position. You want to get free from their hands. You want to try to get your back to the mat. And you want to try to hip escape and face into them. Now here, I'm able to sort of get one of my legs over his shoulder and trap his left arm right here for a little bit. But it's not great. It's not perfect. Again, I need to do better on the hand fighting here to bring this arm down below his chest line in order to be able to trap it better. It's something that I've been working on, and hopefully after the quarantine is over, I'll be able to implement it a little better. So again, my legs are flailing here, just trying to control his neck, trying to grab his neck and finish him here. My opponent's doing a really good job, though, of fighting it off. And actually here I think I have somewhat of an Ezekiel choke, but it's a little light. So I make a transition now to try to really finish that choke. He's being tough, though. He's fighting. He's hanging on. don't have the best grip on the collar. I'm trying to adjust it here to make it tighter and tighter. I believe there was a point in this roll where he was gasping for air a little bit, but he was able to get out. He was a tough guy. It was a good roll. You're going to see a little bit later where I eventually say, all right, you know what? Let me just go to an armbar. Let me transition to an armbar here and try to finish him that way. Just because I got so frustrated with him fighting it off so well. Can't thank him enough, though. It's great to have training partners like that who don't let you get away with anything. So we'll go and we'll move it back a little bit here. I decide to, at around this point, okay, you know what? Enough of this. Let me transition to his arm. He's fighting. His right arm is pushing away my left arm at this time, which is leaving it exposed for me to be able to go to a belly down armbar. And that's what I'm going to do here. I bring my left leg over, and I'm going to pull and trap his arm with my left hand and get a good grip into it. And then eventually I'm going to get off my back onto my forehead. Small detail here. When you start this armbar, a very small detail, you want your leg that's going across his torso to hook onto this hip right here. And you'll see what I mean in a second. As I try right now. Now let's let it go a little further. Okay, right here. My leg that's going across his stomach area, his torso, the foot, I want this foot to be engaged and I want it to be locking on his far hip right here. What that does is it prevents your opponent from walking around to this side. When you hook with that foot, it prevents them from walking around to the side and escaping the armbar. It's a small detail. It's a huge detail, though. If you start doing that, if you start hooking with that foot, it's going to prevent them from escaping that armbar. Now you'll see right here. See how I have this hook? He cannot walk around. He cannot escape. He's got to stay right here where I have him. And that's definitely a small detail that you guys want to focus on whenever you're going for these type of arm bars off the back control. Now you're going to see right here, he's trying to move, but he also loses his balance when that hook is right there. I'm going to now grab his foot. Another small detail, my right arm is grabbing his foot, but my left hand is deep inside and it's grabbing my own thigh, my upper thigh. You don't want your arm to be shallow. You want a nice deep grip, and then you want to grip as high up on your thigh as possible, pinching your arm closed tight, and that's going to prevent him from being able to pull the arm out. Now the foot. Look at the foot. Look how I have it hooked here. Look how deep it is. He's trapped. He's trapped that he can't move around this side. He's trapped that he can't pull his arm out. We can now go for the roll. He's going to sit back. But when he sits back, look at that. We come out on top. And now it's just being patient and going for the break. Whenever you're trying to break an opponent's grip to go for the armbar, I like to follow the general philosophy of you want his elbow to be hidden underneath your armpit. So you want to choke up when you're putting your arm through to break this grip. And you want to be as high up by his wrist as possible. Here you're going to see my right arm is attacking his wrist. I ideally want, if I wasn't going for this variation, I want to have his armpit deep underneath my armpit, and my focus is strictly on the wrist here. Guys, if you start to add that small detail to your arm bars, you're going to be able to finish anybody from the armbar, no matter how much bigger or stronger they are. Because you're attacking the weakest point of the arm, which is the wrist. So you'll see here again, I'm attacking the wrist. I miss it there. I come back again. Now I adjust my wrist. And here I actually do a mini wrist lock variation in order to break the grip. You'll see here, I just choked up right here on his arm as well too. If you watch, you're going to see my right shoulder move. And it's moving because I'm moving. There we go. There it moved. It moved to choke up on his wrist. Now my hands are closer up on his wrist. Now I'm going to fall off to the side. Actually didn't even have to fall off to the side because if you see here, as soon as his wrist breaks, look how close my arms are to the wrist. They're not down here by the armpit. They're up by the wrist, breaking the grip and pulling him back down for the tap. So we were able to get the tap there. Going to bring the video back now. And again, we're going to talk a little bit about what my opponent could have done a little better to start the roll off. And again, it all goes back to, hey, when you're in somebody's guard. When you're in somebody's guard, you got to make sure that you keep good posture right here. You want your posture to be sitting back and low on your hips. You can see here my opponent, he's a little high up in his posture, and that's going to cause him to be able to be moved a little easier. The other thing is he's trying to open my guard from his knees. Obviously, there's two ways to open up a closed guard. You can stand up or you can do it from the knees. My philosophy has sort of changed in how to open it best. I'm sort of in the camp now of stand up to open up the closed guard. You definitely want to get used to standing up to open up a closed guard because there are less options for the person on bottom to attack you with. If you try to open up a closed guard from your knees, the opponent who's playing guard has more options by which they can attack you via sweeps, armbar, submissions, you name it. There's just less options for them if you stand up. So though you might feel off balance, get used to it because there's less options. What my opponent definitely could have done here, though, keep the posture, try to get a knee in the middle, and if you're going to open up from your knees, it's definitely about keeping the posture back. Now, let's go back here. How could he have defended this sweep? The problem is when somebody goes to do a hip bump sweep on you, you don't want to grab their hips. I know it's a natural reaction to try to grab their hips and force them down. You don't want to do that. You actually want to raise your hips high. And by raising your hips high, it is going to prevent them from being able to come up. The reason they're able to sweep you is because their hips are higher than yours. So you can see my hips are higher than his. I'm always going to win this battle. If he raises his hips, thrusts his hips back into me, it's going to force me right back down on the mat. The next thing to do right here is his guard is being passed right here. Whenever somebody's passing your guard, I don't care what direction they're going in. I've stated it before. Elbow to knee theory, guys. Elbow to knee. Bring your elbow to meet your knee. Think of a dog when you turn them on their back. That's how you want to be, even if they're passing off to the completely opposite side. What it does is it prevents your opponent from being able to slide his arms in and get his arms in position to attack you. Now, if he had elbow to knee going here, see how my arms are moving around? I wouldn't be able to do this because he'd be tighter up into a ball. I'd have to work harder, which would make him be able to have more opportunities to escape. Elbow to knee. So I've got his back right here. He's doing the right thing. What he needs to be thinking is, hey, this arm, I've got to bring this arm over my head. I have to do that because I have to clear that arm in order to get my back to the mat and be successful in escaping this. Now, it's kind of too late here for him to be able to do anything, but you don't want to be on this side if the person figure fours their leg and they have your back. You want to move them towards the side of the feet that are crossed. It will make escaping a whole lot easier for you. Some people will say, James, you had your feet crossed. Could he have gotten you with a submission? Not from this position that he's in right here. It's very, very difficult for him to get his legs back up to attack me. That's why I felt comfortable in having my feet crossed. I'm also keeping him preoccupied by him attacking my hands here. Again, it's all about his body positioning. Now you see here I broke my grip. Instead of going back up into me, he should have put his back directly onto the mat. It would have made it a whole lot easier. By him going to the other side, it doesn't do anything. You've got to focus on when somebody has your back, getting your back to the mat and clearing one of their arms over your head. It's the only way you're really going to be able to escape. So we'll fast forward now to the part where I go to the armbar, and I'll sort of show you guys a little bit of commentary in terms of what he could have done here. Okay, now as soon as somebody starts transitioning to the armbar from the back here, you only have a few moments. You have a few moments before he's got that foot hooked on your hip to make the move. So my guy, he's got to immediately start moving around this way. Forget about the hand grip right here. As long as you move, your elbow is moving. So even though he might have your elbow is going to start to move as you're moving your body around. So even if he tries to go belly down, he's not going to finish you from there. But the longer you wait for the person to consolidate the position here, the worse off it's going to be. Because I'm getting my grips, I'm getting everything I need to. And as soon as I'm able to get that foot locked right into his hip, now he's really stuck. Now it's too late. It's too late right now when that foot is here. Some people ask, is there anything he could have done there at the last minute? I mean, now he's going to have to sacrifice his arm. He's going to have to take the arm that's being attacked here and grab his inside thigh. With his other free arm, he's got to push this foot down and immediately come around to this side. It's the only way he's going to be able to escape here, or at least have a shot. Once the foot is grabbed right here and he knows he's going over, he's got to immediately switch to the defense of, all right, I got to get off being parallel to my opponent. And he's starting to do that. The thing is, I've got such a good grip right here and such good positioning that it's really, really tough. And he gets tapped. All right, guys, so that's it for this episode. I hope you liked it, and definitely please make sure to like and subscribe. And until next time.